Wow, here we are again, live from New York, and it's not Saturday night yet, and it's not New York even. Greg
No.
is
Yeah,
busily
sorry.
trying to figure out
Yeah,
where are we? Oh, whoa, we're dropping like flies.
no,
Screens are
no.
going away and coming back. Greg, just
X
keep going.
X isn't going. Yeah, we're live. We're live, and this is live, and this is an episode because Jack Straw from Wichita was a no-show.
Yeah. Well, he may have had exigent circumstances. So, Jack, we hope everything's okay. We're looking forward
Yeah.
to the possibility of talking to you again sometime, even though right now it might be a little frustrating for us, some of us. We're not here to disparage any guests who might have not made it on the show.
I think we are potentially. Potentially, we are.
This is going to be a short episode
Short.
if we are.
All right, so X, for some reason, we couldn't stream on X, so now we're transferring to.
We're adding in something else, but right now we're live on YouTube and live on Facebook and live on Instagram. We're almost live on Instagram. Welcome aboard. We are kind of flying by the seat of our pants today. It's November 7th. It's time to pantomime.
Pantomime. Hey, you know what? We could do some things that you love, like improv.
I thought that's what this whole thing was.
Yeah, that's life. Life is improv.
Yes.
But right before, while we were hanging out, we were talking about the Scorsese
documentary series on Apple TV. Yes.
You've seen. I have not seen it yet.
Yes.
Okay, and moving right along.
Yeah. For those of you who want to know more, go watch it on Apple TV. And if you don't have Apple TV, what the hell's wrong with you?
Steal it.
Steal it. It's hard to steal that one, I think.
Man, they're all hard to steal nowadays, I think.
Yeah, perhaps.
And as they should be, right? Like, what if someone took our free podcast that we're doing right now and started selling it and they became billionaires? And here we were just wandering around in poverty.
You know, it's funny. I see creators on TikTok who their stuff gets downloaded and then someone else uses it as if it's them, and they have their own TikTok channel with other people's content. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird. And there's a friend of the family, and she's a social media influencer, and she's gorgeous. And all the time I get new accounts like, oh, this is my real account. Message me, like, and so there's scams out there too that are pretending to be someone who's gorgeous and they're interested in you.
Right now, I'm going to pretend to be someone gorgeous.
And interested in me. Take it.
Well, that's a given. I am definitely interested in you. Greg.
We're still rolling.
You're working on another play, right?
Yeah, Mystic Pizza musical.
Right. And I don't know that I actually saw the original film or play. So I'm not sure I know what that's about, but you're going to be singing in that, right?
And dancing.
And dancing.
To the grooving, and just then it hit me. Somebody turned around and shouted, play that funky music, white boy.
That's not in it though, right? That song?
No, that isn't in it.
But you've been taking vocal lessons?
There's a gentleman here in Mill Valley, shout out to Patrick, who he has graciously given me his time for 45 minutes, and we rehearse pretty intently with learning dance and singing. Yeah. That's been the concentration the past 3 weeks.
So since you sang that song, I think it's time for a transparent minute with Mark Wendt. When I was in the 8th grade, there was a crew of people that I went to alternative school, and they were ethnically diverse. And they nicknamed me AWB.
Oh, really?
Average white boy.
I like it.
That became my nickname for a time. What's happening, AWB?
What was alternative school like? Was it by
There's
choice
a
or
place
were you
called
put there?
Odyssey School, and it was in Berkeley. And my friend Steven and I had been racially oppressed in Oakland and decided we were sick of being abused by Latino gangs and other ethnic gangs. And so we decided we were going to make the long commute from North Oakland, or White Oakland, as we might call it right now, to Berkeley. And we found this school that would sounded good and was close enough to us on College Avenue that we could get there by bus. And we transferred ourselves. We called down to the city of Oakland, and we called down to the Berkeley School Administration, where we managed to get a special program transfer so that we could go to school in Berkeley, even though we lived in Oakland.
And
And
you
Odyssey School was run as a really interesting alternative school. We had all the curricula, the regular curriculum, math, English, history, but some of it, particularly history, there were these different ways of actually providing the materials. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, we did like fitness and art. So I took black and white photography. There was something called the Tao of Swimming,
oh,
which was
that's
a
so
really
rad.
amazing experience. And then my history class for 2 years was ethnic studies.
Nice.
So, and then, we took algebra, we took English. One of the things we did in drama, which, since we were talking about you being in a play, was we read the Odyssey by Homer in the fall semester as a group. And then in the spring, we presented it as a play, and we were each given our characters in the play, and we were told to improvise the script for the play. And so we spent about 2 months just going at it on stage, trying to get from A to B in this
Yeah,
story
that's
about,
brilliant. That's awesome.
the
Homer's
Odyssey by Homer. And it was a really amazing experience.
What character were you?
I played Poseidon.
Nice.
Yeah. And we did the same thing a year later with Peter Pan. So that was fun.
All right. So, do you have a strong recollection of Peter Pan? Like, how closely does the original book, did Disney adhere to the original book?
I'm not prepared to give you the analysis of that level of scrutiny, but I'll just say this. We had fun. The basic story of, perpetuated boyhood and adolescence.
And there's a lot there about motherhood too.
Yeah.
Needing a mother. Wendy, that's why they got Wendy. They needed a mom.
Yeah. So it was what we made it, right? It was the same sort of thing, which meant on some level it was really like not true to the original, right?
It turned into Lord of the Flies.
Well, the teacher, Doris, what was her last name? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting this woman's name, but she was really brilliant the way she handled us and the way that she made us read the material. Because if she just made us read the Odyssey by Homer, it would have been like Dolesville, man. Not happening, not truly hep, Cat. And by having us read it with the idea that at some point we're going to have to embody the characters, and we didn't know exactly which one we're going to be yet. We really had to get to know them, and then we went over it, and she talked about it when first time we ran through it. She's like, "Well, we need to come up with a really cohesive sort of beginning, middle, and end here. So we're going to make scenes. What do you guys want the first scene to be?" And she guided us, but made us own the creative process at the same time, and it was fun, really fun.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome in my experience to be a part of something that through improv and creation is developed into a performance that can be repeated over and over again. It's like your blood and bones are in that performance,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great gateway to get into and inhabiting a character.
Yeah.
The one sort of drawback is because there's so much leeway and we were teenagers, we were probably doing the characters some injustice. I wouldn't necessarily have wanted the author to see what we did to their characters, but
So like your Poseidon was in bed with a wad of Kleenex and
I like your fantasy lives about me, Greg.
weren't you just masturbating constantly as a teenager? I was.
Not in character on stage.
You weren't Poseidon.
Not
Poseidon's going to excuse himself for a couple of minutes.
And to be honest, I was already sexually active with a girlfriend at that point. I didn't need masturbation.
All right. Maybe she.
And there were a lot of mermaids. And for those of you who don't know me, and you can see me, like I had long blonde feathered hair, like the male version of Farrah Fawcett, right? Like it was the 70s, okay? Right? So I carried one of those big combs in the back of my pocket, and it was the white boys version of an Afro comb, which is probably why I was called AWB.
Those plastic combs were part of the fad. The down vest, and you had that comb tucked into your back pocket. I remember.
That's right. That's me. You got it.
And also the puka necklace.
Well, I had gone to live in Hawaii for 6 months prior to that. Prior to my ninth grade year.
Authentically allowed to wear it. Is that what you're?
Well, I wasn't necessarily authentically allowed to, other than I could buy them and I could put them on my body.
Well,
and
you
I
could
did.
buy them anyway.
I did. And I wore OP Pacific sunwear too, because while I was in Hawaii, I acquired some t-shirts and shorts, and I was very fashion forward when I got back to California after that, for sure.
What about your first time in a head shop? Do you remember that?
My first time, I remember being in them.
No,
I don't know about the first time. I think the first head shop I was in was actually just plain old Telegraph Avenue, which happened to have a couple head shops on it as well. And back in those days, there was a lot of street vending that was, pipes and weird stuff.
Because there was a head shop in Hayward that was on the very outskirts of town. And I remember my first time in there, and it was so it took a couple of months of me sort of circling around, and then I went in, bought a glass pipe, and and it was right across the street from a Tower Records. That was also an awesome place to go to.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that was, my experience with Odyssey School. There was way more. I got, there was, there's the homecoming king elections things that happened, but in our case, we raised money for charity, so every dollar was a vote, and it wasn't homecoming king; it was King Ugly and Queen Ugly.
That sounds like a carnival thing.
My fellow students loved it, right? Because instead of it being some dumb thing about a king or a queen, it was like, who can we torture with the idea of actually being King Ugly? And so the money kept coming in because people would get in front and someone else would want to make them in front. And so I don't remember the exact figure, but we were all surprised that it was over $400.
That's awesome. And who was King Ugly and Queen Ugly?
There was a woman, a young girl, 14, who I had the hardest crush on, but she was really into older sort of bad boy types that were in high school.
High schoolers.
Yeah.
And
so I couldn't get any traction with her, even though she was like the apple of my eye. And I went out front way early. Like I became King Ugly way before they decided it. Right. But someone just put a bunch of money on it, and I was doomed to be it. But I think she was mortified that she was Queen Ugly, partially because she was such a beauty. She was so amazingly beautiful that it just irked her to be called Queen Ugly, for sure.
She had a lot vested in her outer looks.
I was super stoked because that was the one moment where we were just briefly
hooked
something together, King and Queen Ugly. And she knew I was happy about it, and she wasn't happy about that.
So the whole thing just sort of crashed and burned as far as a romantic
No, there
fantasy.
was never anything to crash or burn. It just never took
Well,
place.
in your mind, there must have been some flowering of a germination of
No,
an idea.
no, because like I said, I wasn't fixated on just her. Like I
With her
had
mom?
no, who? I had never met her mom.
Well,
But
her mom might have been
I was
beautiful.
I was already smoking weed and playing electric guitar and getting laid. I mean, like that was way inappropriate for my age group at 14.
Alright.
I mean, we could talk even more about that, but you'll have to tune in and ask me the questions as from an audience to actually get
Yeah.
that. Watch for these lives because this is your chance to actually ask really powerful questions. And frankly, I'm disappointed in our audience. Nobody shows up for this shit.
I'm not
But
disappointed in them. How can you be disappointed in something that doesn't exist?
let me tell you, it's kind of pretzel logic, but I do it.
Okay.
I find a way. Anyway,
What are your thoughts
I
on this past election this week? Jumping tracks.
I'm gonna jump right back. What are
Oh,
your thoughts on why it was so taboo for you and exciting to go to head shops, and how did that influence you? And when did you smoke your first weed, and why didn't you keep smoking weed?
my first weed was an 8th grade dance. It was in Southern California. We were going to move to Northern California about a month and a half later. And there were 4 of us. 3 of us smoked it. The other one turned us in. And
Wow.
yeah, and the guy who actually provided it, he was expelled, and 2 of us were put on, I don't know, what do you call when you're not expelled, but you can't go to school for a week?
Probation.
Probation.
Suspension.
And suspension, that was it. Yeah. We were suspended for a week. And because we all would have been expelled, but I was moving in, like 2 weeks, and they thought that wouldn't be fair to the other person because I wouldn't really suffer a consequence and the other person would suffer a big consequence. So we were suspended. And then I moved to Hayward. And so like the whole like connection to weed disappeared. But then it came back strongly my freshman year in high school. So I moved in the middle of 8th grade, and the wheels just came off the bus for me as far as being anything that was going to be studious. And I just
We're
became
talking about weed. You had more weed when you got to high school.
yeah, and then just lots of weed. I was just high all the time. And the
Oh,
head
so
shop,
like a lot of us, high school the whole way, stoned the whole way.
yeah,
Yeah, you
24.
were a boho mofo for show, won't you?
Yeah. And then by end of junior year and senior years when like all sorts of things, imbibed whatever I could get my hands on.
So there was a point at which though that you realized like weed wasn't it for you anymore. When was that?
I was 19 and it wasn't just weed, it was like inebriation. I was going to die or I was going to stop, and I stopped.
Got it. Which is why you make all the heroin and crack jokes.
Right.
Yeah. Which
Yeah, it's like
that's
so
thinking about being irked.
well, you know what's so interesting? So on one part, like the thought of inebriation and getting into crack and heroin is so far behind me. Like it's just not real. But on the other hand, it's right there with me still. There's still that energy that was so alive in my teen years of inebriation and chaos and madness. And that energy is still there. So the likelihood of me actually partaking in heroin, the over under is probably way under, not going to happen. But there's still a bet there to be had.
Got it. I'll remember that when I get you some Afghani black for your birthday.
Thanks.
No, just kidding. Um, it's funny. I never really understood what an over under is. Not that you have to explain it to me now, but I'll wait.
I don't think I could. It'd be
Got
like
it.
offsides in soccer.
Yeah, I actually recently looked that up, and it
Offsides
was
in
more
soccer?
complicated than I thought because I've been watching soccer and I'm interested. And I just got to say, uh, the Wrexham series is part of why. But I
That's
also played when I was a kid, so
Yeah.
I kind of got reinvested. But offsides, it's such an interesting thing because there is an element of it that is subjective, and it's based on the referee's point of view.
Right. There's a great John Cleese bit about offsides in soccer. If you have a
Oh, I'll
chance,
go look that up.
yeah, it's
I'll
brilliant.
check that out for sure.
Yeah.
But back to Martin Scorsese, right, which we were talking about a minute ago. One of the things that I noticed about him was his just unwavering commitment to doing what he wanted to do, and how so much of that got him into trouble. And that, much like some of my other favorite filmmakers, who he's friends with, he didn't make it in Hollywood. He's like a New York filmmaker,
Right.
right? And one of the things that it did was it brought me back to wanting to see a bunch of the films that were made in that were talked about in the film, and some of the things that were left out. It felt like there's an episode of that isn't done. Like they did all the way up to a certain point, and then like they stopped, and I'm like, I wonder like what's going on. And when it launched, man, I was right on it. The first episode, like I knew it was coming out. I missed it the night it premiered, but I went to watch it to start, and I was like, oh, I can't watch this. I'm too tired. And I turned it off, and I went back the next morning, and it wasn't available on Apple TV. It was temporarily like everything else worked. It wasn't Apple TV.
Right.
I think Martin Scorsese said, hey, I want to change something in this first episode. And they pulled it.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's my assumption. I don't know.
Right. I wonder if you could Google that and see why it got pulled.
Yeah, maybe if I had time to do Google stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't have to do it right now.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, how come Casino hit you as one to go back and watch?
Because he had really lost his status in Hollywood, and he was basically going to be broke and out of the film business. The movie before that, and unfortunately I forget which one it is, which says more about me. But he
wasn't it Good Guys, I think.
I don't know, but people were not into him anymore. So what it was is that someone was like, okay, how about we do go back to basics? And someone was like, yeah, I'll pay for that. The film producer would pay. And he was like, and that saved him because it was a triumph at the box office. And he had been like losing money hand over fist on every film up to that point. Even, the ones that were big critical hits were just box office flops. I think he probably lost over $150 million worth of Hollywood money on his first few films. And that was back in the day when they cost like 20 to make. A big one was,
I wonder if Last Temptation was right before Casino, because that bombed. I thought it was a brilliant film, but I know it bombed when it came out. People just Harvey Keitel, that's the guy from Mean Streets I was thinking of, that he and De Niro and Pesci were all in Mean Streets. Harvey Keitel.
Well, I'm looking at his IMDb right now, and I'll be able to tell you in just a second here what it was. Man, look at them all. So many.
Yeah, but look for director specifically, because he produced and executive produced a ton of stuff.
Oh, okay. It's easy with music because you can just don't do that. Like if I'm going to try to look something up, Phil, like an actual like co-host, not.
If you get angry, I'm just gonna keep going. We're on the anger train, the Mark Wen anger train. Here we go. Choo choo. And you can see the steam rising, the sadness in his eyes. Oh, why did
your need to provoke me is something I don't really get very much.
No, you get it a lot.
No, I mean, I understand.
I know what you meant.
All right, so he did the one right before that is something called The Age of Innocence, also Cape Fear, and
Oh, that
Goodfellas.
did well though. Cape Fear.
It was critically acclaimed.
I thought it did well.
I don't think it did well at the box office.
All right, now I'm gonna look up. There's a place called
Yeah,
Box
so
Office.
obviously we're talking about this documentary and we didn't learn much. Okay, yeah, Cape Fear did 182 million.
Yeah,
So it did well.
yeah.
But then The Age of Innocence,
That bombed.
yeah, and it was a huge high, yeah, it budget 34, box office 68. So it doubled its money. There was one before, yeah. So anyway, Casino was the reuniting with De Niro and the Goodfellas cast. So it was 5 years after they'd worked together. And Temptation of Christ was 88.
Okay.
And he'd lost and then After Hours, that's the one. Like that is such an amazing movie and was such a hit, and especially on video. Like I don't think it did that well in the theaters, but man.
Well, it had great legs. Like I think it's one of those sort of underground hits that the people who loved it. Like you had to kind of be a cinephile, I think, to love it.
Whatever it was, I don't think I'm a cinephile. Even now at this age, when I should be more of a cinephile, I don't think I qualify. But
I think you do.
I think it would be really cool to watch Repo Man and After Hours as a double feature, because both of those they're from the same era. They have this oddball kind of non-Hollywood kind of approach.
Yeah, right? And they both take place at night, and it's sort of that weird world at night. Like I've talked with you about that time in my life when I used to go to the city around 2 a.m. and hang out until 6 a.m. playing pinball and video games. And there was like the world is askew in that realm.
Yeah. I just had this really dumb, crazy good idea, which is I would love to get a digital copy of both of those films and cut them together as if they're one film.
Repo Man, I think it's hard to get. Like I think, like on Spotify, the soundtrack isn't available, and I have a.
Thank God, I hate Spotify.
I love Spotify.
Yeah. Have you watched the documentary about that?
About Spotify?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
I don't need to see a documentary made by a bunch of angry broke artists talking about how the big man is stepping on them.
It's actually a dramatization. It's not a documentary. But I think once you understand how just disappointing his approach is to the idea of music as something that's worth cultivating in culture instead of capitalizing on, you want to see me angry, let's talk about Spotify. This guy's an asshole. Okay. And he doesn't understand musicians and their needs, and he loves giving the audience what they want to the detriment of music as a whole. And they were the first to bring out and have 2 AI bands be in the top 10 on Spotify. So that tells you a little bit about what they think of music. And honestly, I look down my nose at people who use Spotify. If you're a music lover and you think it's cool to use Spotify, I'm judging you.
Well, you're judging me, and I love it. And I've been listening to music all around the world and introduced to genres and musicians that I never would have come across in the past easily. And like the social aspect of it, I love, where I can jump into someone's profile and be introduced to a whole new genre of music or new musicians. And I get pinged when artists I love or tickets are on sale here in the Bay Area. And so I know, like, oh, all right, like Skating Polly's going to be at the, I don't know, some little club, and I could go see them. And yeah, I love it.
Oh, great. I'm glad we're able to
Disagree so
disagree about
strongly.
stuff and still be friends.
Yeah.
For now.
Next week's episode of Moped Outlaws is canceled.
Moped Outlaw.
Yeah. I'll be there all by myself. Oh, look at that. I really am all by myself. That was brilliant. Oh, look, we got a viewer when that happened. No, I'm teasing.
Yeah. Maybe we should program some bots to be viewers when we do this.
All right, but anyway. So Casino, we were talking about Casino and how that piqued your interest.
Yeah, so because it was all the wise guys again, and one of the things that's becomes clear about his life, about Martin Scorsese's life, is all those wise guys that are in the film were actually his boyhood friends in the New York barrios where a lot of the mobsters were operating. So they knew all the New York mobsters because they were nearby, and there was family involvement. And to have Casino be about the mob and have all these people that are basically mob adjacent in it, it gave it this air of authenticity. And in fact, Martin Scorsese, that film particularly is really, it's gross on a certain level because of the kind of violence that's in it. But most people think of The Godfather and like, did the mob bless The Godfather as a real story, which is an important aspect of the Godfather story. But more so did Casino and the other mob movies that Scorsese made. I would not be surprised. They didn't say this in the documentary, but I would not be surprised to find out that there was actually mob money in them. Right. So there's this aspect of it that is, like the grit and almost, documentary style of this is what it was really like kind of thing of Scorsese's film versus the kind of romanticized, stylized sort of Coppola version from The Godfather. Both are good, right? But Scorsese's in the streets and in the gutter and in the dirt, and that human pathos has less of a like grand scope and more of a gritty sort of in your face reality. And Pesci, I call him Pesky before, which probably doesn't do him justice, but Joe Pesci's character and Robert De Niro's character and Sharon Stone's character, and then all of the ancillary players, including Don Rickles.
Don Rickles. And I hear he just was needling De Niro all the time, like,
Right. Well, it's not in the show. Like, it's not in the film.
Right.
But Don was adjacent to Sinatra. They were tight, and he knew Sinatra's boys.
Right.
So there was Don knew what was up and who was who, and probably where the bodies are buried.
Well, there's a famous interview with Don where he talks about performing at a club and someone gets really upset at him and he's like, his life's in trouble. And then there's a phone call and then that trouble went away.
Right.
He came up in the mob era. Like that was,
So, ultimately, Martin Scorsese is a fascinating subject for filmmaking. And I think they focused on his feature films as opposed to his documentary films. Because I'd ask the question, well, what is, why didn't they, talk about the Rolling Stone Review, the Bob Dylan story, or George Harrison? They talk a little bit about it, but they don't go into kind of the background of the productions on them. A little bit about The Last Waltz. That's the one that they do get into because his relationship with Robbie Robertson. They were basically living together in Hollywood and consuming massive amounts of cocaine together for over a year and a half as a result of that relationship. But anyway, the Killers of the Flower Moon. That's the one I haven't seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen
and
that
I've heard it's really good.
I've heard.
And I think it won some Academy Awards. I'm not seeing
I don't know.
anything on
That's with
Wikipedia.
DiCaprio.
Yeah, it's DiCaprio, De Niro, Lily Gladstone, music by Robbie Robertson. It was the last thing Robbie did before he died. And there's probably something here on Wikipedia about the whether they won awards or not. I'm not seeing it here. Real box office, critical response, accolades. 96th received 10 nominations. I don't know how many it won. It's not really clear here from what I'm reading, and I'm not enough of a student of the film to know. But I want to see it. It's the next thing, and I sort of wanted to see it, and I sort of and I didn't yet. And one of the things about Martin Scorsese's work is it's long form. Like he makes long movies.
Did you ever see that movie he did about the kid in the train station? I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
And what's his name played the like police guy, the guy from
Sacha Cohen.
Yeah, and he did a great.
It's the Clockwork. That's a definite amazing holidays film.
Yeah.
And it's rough.
Well, part of what's amazing,
it's tempered. It's not like a usual Scorsese film. There's
right.
some
like his ability to deliver you a live in essence, I don't know what
dramatization that appears real.
No, but also The Last Waltz, Mean Streets, to have like his breadth of genres that he takes on is pretty powerful. Last Temptation of Christ. Is that in the, do they talk about that in the?
Yes, that's a whole section.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And apparently there was a bunch of stuff that they tried to keep out of it. And so there's some things in the ending that were very controversial about Jesus having a relationship with Mary Magdalene and family and all of that. And everyone was very upset about that.
Yeah. Yeah, you could be human, but you can't be sexually human. That would be bad.
Yeah. Well, needless to say, it worked. I am very interested in the whole catalog of Martin Scorsese in a way I hadn't been interested in before. And I'm going to go back and definitely check out Killers Under the Moon.
Maybe we should have a movie
Moon.
party. Like, I want to see that too, and I haven't seen it. Is that something your partner wants to see?
No, I have mentioned it and no.
So maybe if you wanted to come down here, and like Candy and Jonah would probably want to see it.
Sounds like fun.
A dinner thing. And
anyway, I need to wrap this up. I have something else I need to do.
Oh, busy he is. Yes.
And,
all right. So before you go, there's a question that we always like to ask all our guest writers.
Okay.
And so it's very important to us.
Okay.
So here we go. All right. You ready? Foo Fighters or Eminem?
I'm going to go with Foo Fighters today.
How come?
I got to.
And we're done.